be in contact with me all the time. They're called Janus, which is also the two-headed Roman god of change. And their headquarters is in Brussels, Belgium, in the NATO building. And they are a group of psychiatrists and doctors who are into mind control. And they are one of the many groups involved with the Illuminati. And they would contact me and tell me, give me directions that I was to psychically kill this person or psychically injure this person or scare this person. They'd give me the location. And I started questioning this, and I had a contact who since has seemed to have disappeared because she couldn't get the funding. And I had called her about this group, and she's the one that was the ex-CIA, ex-Army intelligence person, and she knew about these people, and she said, yes, you're right, this is what is going on.
From your experience being brought up in this Illuminati environment, were you ever told anything about where these reptilians came from, and what is the history of it all?
I was made to learn through Mothers of Darkness, which is a certain aspect of the organization, because that was an early part of my training, the history of what was the Illuminati on this planet. And what I learned was that the Aryans originally were from Mars, and the reptilians came to that planet they came from another place, they came to that planet, they came to rule, because they wanted to mix, so they said, with that race, and but they became the overlords. And the Martians or Aryans were seeking to escape from it. They went to the moon and then were there attacked, and they then went to Earth and established culture here on Earth approximately 6,000 years ago. And at that point in time, they were doing well, and they were mixing with the indigenous population of this Earth. They were getting along with. And then about 4,000 years ago, the reptilians arrived here and again began to take over. And they instilled themselves in different places underground in the Earth, and also this one part of them, the ruling part, took over and became involved in the politics and in the religion, and started controlling through these means at that point in time, and using the gods and deities that were believed in on this planet, started infiltrating into that and becoming that, and things started, blood rituals started happening, and since that time, that is the way that it has been. And presently, they claim to come from the Merovingian bloodline. They are all of there are 13 bloodlines in Europe that all of what are called royalty are developed from or come from. And they include the Aryans in this, and there's been a big push in this century. For example, when Nazis came into power, the fascists, talking about the purity of being pure and staying, the Aryan bloodline staying pure, and what it actually is all about is keeping the blue-eyed, blonde or light red-haired people pure, because it is more powerful. And what is in that blood for these reptilians is more powerful, and they need that. And when you start mixing it with people that were indigenous to this earth, then it is not as powerful. It has nothing to do with someone, skin color or nationality. It has to do with keeping the bloodline pure for their use.
So blonde-haired, blue-eyed people are the purest from the reptilians' point of view, and that they want to keep that bloodline pure because of how they need to use it.
Yes. When I realized that it had to do with blonde hair and blue eyes, I could not do anything about my eyes, and I am not able to wear contacts or I would have brown eyes. But one thing I did do was cut my hair off, because that was part of the rank I was. My hair was down to my knees, and I colored my hair darker. And there were times when after I did cut it off, they had gotten to me, and so the hair would be light red. But that is being in compliance with them. And I did not want to be in compliance to them. I want to expose them, and this is part of it, and I won't be what they want me to be.
It's basically just the reptilian mind that's inside.
No, it's a reptilian, and it's an astral form of the reptilian. It is like hands, face, nose, mouth. It's not just part of the mind. It is a being inside.
And can they materialize into the third dimension and do what Arizona Wilder told Ike they can do with your information?
I believe that they can. I don't know exactly how that works, because I only know what I know from listening to people in reverse. So I do know that they can. I believe that they can do that. That the reptilian will overpower the physical in some way, and then it'll shape. I know they shapeshift, and I know that the reptilian will become visible, and because many people have seen them when they're in that halfway changing. So I do believe that this is a physical phenomenon. I know that they do eat people physically.
Let's talk about some other famous figures and what you've heard or know about them. Have you heard anything mentioned about the Pope?
Yes. The Catholic Church is, it's ripe with that reptilian energy. Nobody gets to be in that kind of a position of world power without a reptilian within, I would say. Even people like, newscasters. I find that the kind of the low-level newscasters rarely have one inside, but the top-level people do.
How about Bush Sr.? Have you done any reversals on him?
Yeah.
What do you hear from him?
He's very, very much overwhelmed with this thing inside of him. I reversed him when he was talking about the fundraiser after Katrina. He and Barbara were on with Larry King, and I got that recording, and he went through the whole thing about how they set it up in order to get me for the trip.
Set up the hurricane?
Oh, yeah. They revved it up, and they directed it to this poor black area of New Orleans. And even Barbara says, you won't care because they're black. And it's all about the meat, and collecting the meat.
But the echelon attitude here, the needs of the few outweigh the needs of humanity. And sorry, that just isn't right. But it's going to have to be humanity that's going to rise up and take the stand. You're just going to have to turn off your televisions. They're going to have to get in their car. They're going to have to fire everybody in Washington, D.C. that knows and does nothing. And they're going to have to do something. This apathy's got to end. Otherwise, the way we live is going to end. Period. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I'm not coming from a fear space. I'm really quite angry about the apathy and the fact that, when people give lectures and try to tell this, people want to stand up and fight with them. Look at what's happening around us. The indications are everywhere.